back to 1996 when we stood on the same Signal Hill and launched the Garden Route Trust for Community Development and the Environment, when we began the campaign against the big developers who were desecrating our beautiful garden route paradise. The issues change from time to time. Those issues still exist, and now of course we're facing this much greater one. It's been there all along, but it's only more recently that the severity and intensity of the climate change issue has become ever more urgent. Now, one of the things that I've been aware of with the climate change thing is that it's so big, it tends to overwhelm people and tends to disempower people in terms of taking action. All I want to say really is that it is so important to know that every tiny action that we take counts. There's that little expression, the power of one. It really makes a difference for each one of us to simply make a decision in our own sphere of influence. What can I do? What can I do to make a difference? There's so many ways to engage. Some of us are hot-headed activists who go out and fight developers and fight the big corporates. And others of us who stay at home and build beautiful gardens and homes and raise children. And it doesn't really matter what sphere of influence we choose to operate in, just as long as we do it with that whole heart. That sense of compassion and caring and sharing, which is the antidote to the self-interest which is so prevalent in the world. I would like to introduce to you a beautiful young woman by the name of Michelle, who is part of an initiative that is just spreading like wildfire. The Green Pop organization is just doing the most amazing bit of work, which started with one and is now just affecting so many people all over our country. Lovely to have you, Michelle.
Thank you. G'day, everyone in Flats. I've got quite a loud voice. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. My name's Michelle, and I've had the privilege for 2 years of working with an amazing bunch of people down in Cape Town with Green Pop. But before I start to talk about that, I'd like to do a tiny activation. Tiny. What I can see is there's quite a lot of sun coming down here, and I'd like you to imagine it's the middle of summer, you know, with the climate change issue, and it's very hot. And these children in the front here have all this heat coming down on them. And the people next to you have all got heat coming down on them. And what I would like us to try and do right now is to try and shade the person in front of you or next to you. So I want you to come in. I need you to shade these children with your shadow. I need you to shade the people in front of you with their shadow. Try and shade so everybody's got a little bit of cool. See if you can do it. Right. If you have to move around, if you need to sit down, stand up, sit down, come in. Okay. Rick, come in closer. Make sure everyone can see. I'll start with you guys. Okay. And even if you can't see me now, can you please just pop in? There's so much shade here in the front. Okay, I'd like it so that I can see all your beautiful faces. Cool, so here we have a situation where a perceived problem, and it is a problem indeed, can actually create an amazing opportunity for transformation and togetherness. Just have a little look around at us right now. How close we are together. And I think that's an aspect of Green Pop that the founders didn't realize was going to happen, was that through working against this challenge of climate change by planting trees, actually what's happening is social transformation. People are coming together. So just really quickly, Green Pop started with the power of one. A gentleman called Misha Teasdale traveled around the world for a year because he was working, and he took lots and lots of flights, and then it is a sad story, he took a lot of flights, he put out a lot of carbon emissions, we can all cry about that. And then when he got to the end of that journey, about 8 months, he decided that he felt like he needed to plant trees to offset his emissions, and whether he was correct in that at the time, he just felt that he had to do it. So he decided he was going to plant 1,000 trees in 1 month. He'd never planted trees, he had no idea how he was going to do this. He was in the film industry, he was a graphic designer, he didn't know what he was going to do, but all he knew is he needed to get these trees in the ground. And people just sort of came out of the woodwork. One friend of his found schools for these trees to go in. Another friend of his rallied a whole bunch of friends to help plant the trees. And over about 3 weeks they sold these little cardboard bits of cereal box that said, "This is a tree," and they asked people to pay 100 Rand for it in Long Street. Yeah, a bit of cardboard. This is going to be a tree, and people bought it, amazingly. So they sold their 1,000 trees, and then they had to work out how to put them in the ground. And they worked out all the logistics, and then they did the day of 1,000 trees. In 1 day they put in pretty much 1,000 trees, about 800, and then they did the 200 later. Cool, and that was that. He was like, cool, thanks guys, that was rad. They had a big party at the end, and he was going to go back to his job. But the phone just started ringing. People they were like, why don't we get some trees? You know, we're at the school next door, we need trees too, you know. And then other people were like, I didn't get to buy a tree, I want to be part of that action. And so that it was coming from both sides. And so he and his now fiancée Lauren and his very good friend Jeremy decided this needs to happen, we've got to do something about this. So they decided to start connecting those two groups of people. And that was 4 years ago, and now they've planted 45,000 trees in South Africa and in Zambia, which is pretty rad. And their whole thing, the reason they're called Green Pop, is it's all about making greening popular, providing like really cool interactive tree planting experiences that get people psyched, that get people connected, and get people thinking that planting trees is really fun. So at the moment Green Pop runs planting in Cape Town every week, and then they also run reforestation festivals in May in Klapbos Forest near Hermanus, and now the first one ever in Hogsback. We just did it a week ago, which was amazing. We planted 2,500 trees in a day. And then we also go to Zambia for 3 weeks a year, and volunteers are welcome. There's a whole lot of programs. So if you think that sounds like a cool way to take action, join the Treevolution. And thanks for playing my shade game.